the Hoffman. You know, coffee celebrity, sweater connoisseur. He's been missing from YouTube all of this month. Probably partying in Bahamas or something. Whatever, we'll never know. He's got a bunch of guest creators who've been putting up videos instead, and that's been an amazing experience. I mean, just such different, diverse perspectives on coffee and coffee culture. I love it. There's one that really stood out for me, Decolonizing Coffee by these chaps at Aramse. And they make a really interesting point, especially around trying different methods of brewing a coffee. Like, I'm just making espressos and lattes all the time, but then it's time to try something different from across the globe. So I caught myself a South Indian filter coffee. Of course, the Aramse guys he had a version that was 100 years old, passed across 4 generations. I'm not as fancy as that. But I'm going to try to make some today. In fact, I've got 2 recipes to try out. So we'll see how it goes. The South Indian filter, it's a pretty simple but effective system. It's composed of 2 chambers. The top chamber has holes at the bottom. So this is where you put your ground coffee, you put hot water, and through a slow percolation, it'll drip by drip collect in the bottom chamber. The bottom chamber then, it's called the decoction that's sitting in there. This decoction, it's not as strong as espresso, sure, but it's not as weak as a drip coffee either. So it's kind of a concentrate. You use this in a Dabra tumbler. You pour hot milk, in fact, boiling milk, and we'll talk more about that. And you froth it up and you kind of create the South Indian filter coffee that you drink. It's actually a whole lot of fun. The first recipe, I'm going to call it the Aramse recipe because it's kind of from them as well, is usually how you would do it. Step 1, grind your coffee. Grind it really fine. So this is somewhere between Turkish and espresso. As an example, on my niche 0, I would grind for espresso between 20 to 23. For this one, I ground at 15. Pretty fine. The second step is you add it to your top chamber and distribute. Obviously, fine coffee is going to clamp together. It's not going to help. As you break it up, it improves your extraction. The third step is to add 30 grams of hot boiling water and let it bloom. You can probably stir it out a little bit and wait for 45 seconds. Then you add another 60 grams of water. This almost fills it up to the top, but it gives you this ratio of 1:4 coffee is to water. I kind of think that's kind of perfect. You close the lid, and then comes the toughest part. You wait for 15 to 30 minutes. This is really tough, really tough. Think about it, right? Us coffee people, we're a bunch of tinkerers. We've got a whole lot of patience to try out things. We've got a whole lot of perseverance to keep trying it out. But this one really pushes it to the max, man. What do you do for 15 minutes? It's insane. You got nothing to do but just stare at your tumbler. What? So figure it out. Like everyone else, I think I just learned to deal with it. The next thing is you boil the milk. Now this is a big no-no, a big one. If you think about it, when you're making a latte, you want to make sure you don't boil your milk when you're steaming the milk. Otherwise, it breaks down the proteins, doesn't give you the right foam. It's a mess. But for this one, you boil your milk. If you have issues, you deal with it. And then you pour the decoction into your Dabra tumbler, you pour the milk, you add some sugar if you need it. And the best part is pouring from one cup to the other. This creates the foam. It also cools the milk down so you can have a sip. It's really strong, right? Just like the amount of coffee that has gone into this and the amount of milk, and it's a really small little thing, it does create kind of concentrate. And I guess that's the appeal. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. And by the way, I must mention, I got coffee beans that are meant for South Indian filter coffee from a hipster Brooklyn, New York-based roaster called Ministry of Kapi. I mean, they hit all the checklist of hipsterness. That's fun. The second method, I'm going to call the DB method. It's named after the person who really gave me a whole bunch of tips on this one. So it starts with coffee, but there are two things that are different. The first is that you want coffee with chicory. Now, you might be saying that's a big no, because chicory is an adulterant, you don't want it in your coffee, but it actually gives that unique flavor of South Indian filter. You get different versions out there. You get something like an 85-15, which is 85% Arabica, 15% chicory. You can even get a 70-30. You can even get a 50-50. Up to you. Try it out. The second difference is that you grind coarse. Medium coarse, coarser than filter. So in my niche 0, I was grinding at 40, and I put around 70 grams into the top chamber. So this usually fills up like 80% of that top chamber. On top of this, you add hot boiling water, fill it up to the top, close the lid. And then of course you wait. I should have told you in the beginning, you wait overnight. Like seriously, overnight. This is like 8-9 hours, it's gonna slowly drip into the bottom chamber. It's really taking slow percolation to the extreme. The remaining steps are the same. You pour the decoction into your tumbler, you add boiling milk, sugar if you need it, transfer it and create the foam, and then take a sip. I really like this one. It was different, one, because of the coffee beans that I got, and two, it was a very heavy body, but not even acidic flavor. So it was worth trying out. So that's it. 2 different methods to make a South Indian filter coffee. I had a whole lot of fun mixing up how I make my coffee, like different brewing methods for the same coffee beans. A whole lot of fun. And the thing is, this coffee culture that's across the globe, everyone's having coffee. Everyone's got a different way of making it. And there's just so much more to learn. Let me know how it goes, and I highly recommend you try it out. Tell me what you think. But also help me out, man. What do you do for those 15 minutes? I haven't figured that one out. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one.